As we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, we continue to highlight the work done by Chicago's growing Latino community. Today, we introduce you to a man who has made it his mission to get kids to move away from gangs and look to education. So the question is, how did he do it? Growing up in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the country to become a top businessman. His story, inspiring kids who are looking at his words on paper to find a better path.
And he asks you to be anybody you want to be.
A microphone and an audience wasn't quite what Robert Renteria had in mind growing up in East LA, but here he is.
I learned the two greatest days in your life are the day you're born and the day you realize why you're born.
He knows exactly why. In fact, so sure of it that he made his story into a book, and then another, and yet a third. Robert has become a motivational speaker.
Thank you for coming.
That's because he's accessible and his story is touching people every day. People like Louise Martinez.
I was just so moved by it that I thought this book should be read by everybody in America.
The former principal has probably become his biggest advocate, going to schools to try and sell the idea of making the book From the Barrio to the Boardroom part of the curriculum. Joining her, Eve Gomez, a community activist who is hitting Northwest Indiana with the same idea.
It's basically like a 6-week curriculum. You want to do it as fast as you can or as slow as you can. It's up to the pace of the class, the number of students.
And to understand why these ladies think this can be effective, you have to get to know Robert.
Gang banging and violence is not a lifestyle, but a death style.
It begins something like this. First born to a single mom who then married a man who he says was an abusive alcoholic. His real dad died of a heroin addiction.
So when I got old enough, I ran away. And when I started running around with drugs and gangs and finding a new dysfunctional family.
That new family, gangs. Robert eventually got out of it, was in the military for 7 years, and later got a job for a company building laundromats.
So after 6 years of working hard every day, every holiday, every weekend, they never saw me coming because I outworked everybody. I was recruited and I became vice president of a publicly traded company on New York Stock Exchange and hadn't finished high school.
Amazing. He put the entire story on paper, 3 books and countless appearances later. He also co-founded the group Parents for Peace and Justice, working with parents to try and ease the gang and gun problem in Chicago. But it is the book that seems to be motivating people.
It's their story. That's why it's working. You know you're onto something when you get a call from a principal saying, "Robert, I got a problem with your book." I said, "What's the problem?" Kids broke into the school the night before and stole the books out of the classroom. So when kids break into the classroom to steal a book, you're clearly onto something.
Clearly. So what's next? Well, the plan is to have the books and workbooks officially become part of the curriculum, which, like anything new, could be tough.
I remember the resistance in Chicago in 1973 over bilingual education. Today, 30 years later, bilingual education is accepted.
She says it's about teaching kids emotional and social skills, something that's possible, but as Robert will tell you, can sometimes take years to learn.
It gives people hope, okay? It becomes a roadmap, a teaching tool. Show them how to get from point A to point B. My story was from the Barrio to the boardroom. So we all have a from, and we all have a to.
Robert Renteria, one of Chicago's very own. And congratulations to him. The book being recognized, it was voted the best graphic novel in 2012 in Latin America for addressing youth issues. For more info on how to get your hands on that book, From the Barrio to the Boardroom, you can log on to fromthebarrio.com or go to our website, WGN-TV.com.